So what we're going to be sharing with you is we're going to be sharing with you throughout this week how you can start gaining momentum. But before we start sharing with you how you can start getting momentum, we need to understand what momentum is all about. So let me share with you this video that is going to explain what momentum is all about. Have a look.
If you like sports, whether playing in a team or watching them on TV, you might hear the coach say, "Don't lose momentum," or "Keep up the momentum until the end of the game." Deducing from this, it's safe to say that an object in motion has momentum. But how much momentum an object has depends on two factors. The more massive an object is, the more difficult it is to stop it from moving. So the first factor is mass. And it's easier to stop a tennis ball than to stop a bullet, because a bullet moves so much faster. This means our second factor is velocity. So now we have the following equation. Momentum equals mass times velocity. We often give momentum the symbol lowercase p, mass m, and velocity v. This equation shows us that if an object is not moving, it has zero momentum. That's because its velocity will be zero. And we know that anything multiplied by zero is zero.
If we think about momentum with movement, and Isaac Newton basically was explaining, he had three laws that have been proven over and over again. So I think it's important that we understand each and every one of these laws, and then we're going to show you our interpretation of them and how you can also put them in your business to work for your business. So let's start with law number one, the first law of Newton. Have a look.
Today, we will learn about Newton's first law of motion, or law of inertia. There was this fellow in England named Sir Isaac Newton, born in Woolsthorpe, England, on January 4, 1643. This extremely talented guy doesn't need any introduction. While working, he came up with the three basic ideas that are applied to the physics of most motion, excluding modern physics. The ideas have been verified and tested so many times over the last years that people now call them Newton's laws of motion. Let's learn about Newton's first law of motion. This is also called the law of inertia. Newton's first law of motion, or law of inertia. This states that there is a natural tendency of all objects to keep on doing whatever they are doing. All the objects resist changes in their state of motion. In the non-existence of an unbalanced force, an object in motion will continue this state of motion. See this ball sitting in your table? It is not moving, meaning it's in the same position. When you push it with a finger, it starts rolling. Ah, see, it's not stopping. Oh, this book came in its way. It will stop now. This clearly means that moving objects do not change their route or direction unless a force causes them to move from their path. Let's take one more example. Imagine you are in space and you kicked a ball. It will keep moving forever and forever because there is no force or blockage to stop this.
Say one thing about Newton, he had wonderful hair.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the situation. Right now, we have just going to stand still. If we keep on doing what we're doing, we're not going to be able to do absolutely anything. We have to get some pressure. We have to get some movement. Now, right now, the reason why most people are in standstill is because they are asking themselves the wrong question. And what is the question that everybody is asking themselves? Well, if you ask yourself that question, you won't be able to progress. And that question is, what do I do? So how am I gonna get something done? So if you start asking yourself how and not who, you're gonna really get yourself stuck. Why? Because you do not know where we're going. You do not know what's going to be happening. You do not know how things are going to be working. So you do not know how to do it. So the best way, and this is exactly how we got started, and this is we have repeated this many times, is by simply asking who's already showing the way so that we can start moving into that direction. And who was it that we started seeing, well, this is where we can actually see the opportunity?
Yeah, we looked at the late night talk show hosts and we said, look what they're doing. And we realized that they were going to end up in the same situation as everybody else. There's going to be a reset button across all late night talk show hosts where they've got the pulse of the nation. We're sharing with everybody all the funny stuff to allow people to feel better. But they were going to have to do it from home. And we'd get to find out what their homes are like, but we'd also get to find out how they were going to cope without a studio audience, without live guests next to them, which is that positioning when you see them together where you realize how big they are and how famous they are. They're going to have to do a show from home. So we realized that what we would have is pretty much the same thing. So why don't we do a show from home? So we basically just started the ball rolling with zero idea, apart from the fact that our backgrounds left us in a position where we're used to talking, we're used to creating content, and we have a good enough relationship to be able to depend on each other and have fun together. So we started doing that. We agreed we're going to make it go for about, we said we'll keep it going until the end of a lockdown. And we've been going ever since, even taking a month off, we're still in lockdown. So what happened was we've started to grow and we start to reach people. And many of the late night talk show hosts have actually stopped doing it because the show that they had to substitute for what they were doing before clearly wasn't satisfying enough because that's not what they signed up for. So they've gone to a summer break, but I'm completely sure most of them won't come back to the same format unless they've added a ton of different things to make it more interesting.
If you, instead of asking, how am I going to get something? Because that's going to really get you still in standstill. Ask, who can I model? Who can I mirror? Who can I learn from? And start moving as fast as possibly can. I mean, I absolutely love that picture. Now, let me just share with you one other secret, which I think is very, very important. And if you want to really start moving forward, now it's the time to cut a check to people. And you're going to be saying, well, how does that work? I mean, why should I be doing that? I mean, I have to keep my money. Well, no, you also want to keep your money, but you also want to start moving. So it's okay right now, people, because of course the circumstances are completely different. Right now, you can get people and talk to them so that they can come and tell you how they are getting the results that they have. It's fine. I mean, half an hour of consulting, 2 hours of consulting, possibly a telephone call, whatever it is. There's more people which are actually opening. I mean, there's no books, there's no courses on how to get started during the coronavirus. So right now it's the right time to get somebody to cut a check so that actually they can help you. But the most important thing is find who. Right now, if you're a speaker, you can see, for example, that we are doing broadcasting. And every time that we broadcast, we have 300, 400, all the way to 1,500 people watching us. And you want to learn this, we are the right people. If possibly your business is something else, find somebody which is already achieving the results, get in touch with them and cut them a check and make sure that you actually get yourself started. That's the first rule of momentum. Right, Dave?
When you find somebody who's doing well, you've got to model them. And one of the most important currency, bar none, is not money. It's time. You'll never get time back again. And here's why it's so important to invest in a mentor or a coach or a system or skills right now is most people around you aren't moving. Most people are still watching Netflix, looking at series to watch that they've never really bothered because they've just got nothing else to do, or they've lost their job, or they're in fear, or they're waiting to get rescued. That's the thing about most people. If you actually get proactive, not only do you raise your game, but you raise your game while everybody else isn't moving, which means you're going even further, faster. Now, what will happen is people will start getting out of it and getting their act together, but by the time they work it out, you'll already be far in the distance. And most people don't seem to understand that. That's key. So as you can see in this video, this is what you got to do.
But it's really true. I mean, right now, this is how you are. I mean, if you are inside of that bowl, that means that you have already asked somebody how things are going to be happening, and before you know it, you're going to be just crashing the competition because they're moving very, very slow. You are getting that specific motion, which is great. I mean, I just love it. Look at this. Let's just watch a little bit on. I mean, I would love to be doing that for real on real life. Look at that. 1, 2.
Yeah. Do you remember when we saw the video of somebody who went shopping and they had a bubble around them to stop them catching coronavirus, and it was about the same kind of size as that? I don't know how they got, but they had somebody picking stuff off the shelves for them, and they were walking around in this great big bubble. So yeah, there you go. But that's a kind of momentum when you start moving forward, because the thing is, with a show that we've created, when it first started, it didn't have the kind of scheduling, the kind of ideas, and the kind of reach that we've got now. But literally just keeping momentum going and keep moving was what made all the difference. And so anybody who's starting to think, well, have I left it too late? You haven't left it too late, but you really have to start working on things now and speeding up the process as much as you possibly can.
So let's go to the second law of momentum. And for this, we're going to go all the way to the International Space Station. Have a look.
Hello, everyone. I'm astronaut Randy Bresnik, living and working aboard the International Space Station. Now, on the space station, we live in a microgravity environment. Do you think the laws of physics will hold up? Come on, let's go find out.
The acceleration of an object depends on the net force acting on the object and the mass of the object, or F equals ma.
Jolly good show, Sir Isaac.
Here we see that once the force of the thrust is greater than the weight of the vehicle, the rocket begins to accelerate.
All right, we're going to start with something small, something you might have at home, a little stick of chapstick. We'll go ahead and use our force, being our bungee cord here. We'll put it on our bungee, and we'll pull it back. Let it go. And you can see how fast it accelerates because there's very little mass. Next, we'll try a little spaceship. A little more massive, and you can feel that because as you move it, you can feel that the kind of the force, the extra force you have to push with your hand. So we'll put our spaceship on our launcher here, same spot. Notice it's flying a lot slower than that chapstick did. What we've seen is the same amount of force on a smaller, less massive object means acceleration is faster. Well, this is the biggest and most massive thing we have, so let's see how the acceleration is affected. Pull back the same amount on the force, and here we go. And there you have it, Newton's second law of motion in action.
Can you imagine being the poor cameraman who drew the short straw of having to hold the camera while this guy's firing stuff at him? So he's got a chapstick embedded in his forehead, and he's got some little shuttle stuck in his arm, and now he's got this massive bed thing just coming towards him. There's no way he's going to get out of the way. But it just goes to show exactly what it's like when you're in space, and I'm not sure what else we're talking about. It's just a cool video.
Yeah, no, it is just super nice to see the size. That's the important part. And what's the lesson that we can get from this? You have to start small. You don't have to start big or create whole things. So one elephant is just eating one bite at a time. What does that mean? For example, in our case, we started doing this show, and throughout this show, we started doing a lot content on a daily basis. Right now, we have over 500 videos in YouTube. And this didn't really happen in one day. We would have thought, well, we have to have 500 videos in YouTube. It would have been very difficult. But because, of course, we started doing little by little, we started really getting a lot of traction. Now, how do we get these 500 videos? Every single episode that we do from the Toilet Paper Diaries, what we do is we cut it into pieces, and then we start giving different keywords, and we will show you that specific strategy on Fast Forward on Thursday, how you can get it done. 1 hour or 2 hours of content creation is going to give you tremendous power when you are when we are out and when we are outside of these crazy times. Because right now, if you don't have that content, if you don't have that credibility, it's going to be very difficult for you to get that kind of respect that you possibly would like in the virtual world.
Absolutely. And one of the things about it is we give you strategies on Fast Forward. And if you're not sure how to find Fast Forward, it's a specific closed group, but you're very welcome to come and join us on a Thursday evening. But go to Fast Forward, go to facebook.com /groups, then / Fast Forward Show, and just apply to join. And we'll let you in to join us. And what we do on a Thursday is we deep dive into every subject that we've covered during that week. And we give you practical steps about how you can actually do it for yourself. So the theory kind of comes now, but the actual practice and more about the subjects happens on Fast Forward. So I'd love to have you join us for that one particular show. And if you're enjoying this, leave your comments, say hi, let us know you're having a good time, subscribe, and start a watch party amongst all your friends, so they can find out how to do all this stuff as well. It's a real pleasure to have you with us. So we've gone through 2 laws of momentum, Ernesto Verdugo. What's next?
What's next? Quick recap. First is we have to ask who, not how. And then the moment that we start moving and going down and really getting motion, then we have to start with little steps. So now let's go to the third one, which is basically setting a plan.
Today we're going to demonstrate Newton's third law of motion, which says every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It's the principle that sends rockets to the moon. If you want to try this at home, this is what you need. When I release my fingers, air pushes out of the balloon. That's our action. Our reaction is that the balloon moves with the same force in the opposite direction. If you want to learn more about Newton's third law of motion or ask me a question, check out scientistseason.com.
Every action, there's an equal reaction. The moment that you start moving forward, you need to start moving forward. But what I really like is that example of the balloon. I mean, I think it'll be very nice to put some fishing line and a little straw and then the balloon moving so that you can see it moving. Now, I am a pilot, and one of the things that really has helped me in my life is understanding how important it is to plan your route. Our goal is to know that, I mean, we wanted to get tremendous exposure virtually that we didn't have in the past. I mean, we were doing a lot of posts in Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, in everywhere, and we were getting some traction. Right now, if you search Dave's name or if you search my name on online, you're going to see that we have a lot of pictures and whatever. But one of the things that I got to understand while we were here in lockdown was the power of YouTube. Why YouTube was so incredibly powerful. Because you create one video and that video stays there for 10, 15 years, while if you put a post, might stay for 24 or 48 hours. So you start really compounding. Now, to understand the power of compounding, and I think this is just an interesting video, I'm going to play it without any sound. You can, on square one, we see 1 grain of rice, then 2, then 4, then 8, then 16, and keeps on compounding. And it gets to the point that it is all the way to space because of the power of compounding. And this is exactly how you need to see your strategy on creating YouTube videos. That's the whole point of this. That if you start having your plan, and what is my plan? What is the plan that I want to get? I want to make sure that people find me, not right now, but afterwards. And that's why we're creating so many videos in YouTube. We want to create traction with YouTube. This is the reason why we are considering in the world right now, in the virtual world, video, and we have seen it. I mean, whether it is Zoom, whether it is webinars, whether it is whatever, video is that thing which is going to really have you everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And that's what we are thinking of having your plan. So what is our plan? First of all, we wanted to have a show. We started little by little. We started with a 20-minute show. We started growing it, and we know exactly in which direction we're going, and we're moving forward. So our third law of momentum for Dave and myself is basically having a route.
As I was saying, it's all about building that momentum. Now, here's the key to where it makes a big difference. If you think about where your business is right now, as we said at the very beginning of the show, if you've been stuck in lockdown like most people around the world, and you're thinking, right, everything's just stopped. There's a reset button on business, there's a reset button that's been pressed, and we're not moving at all. Think about how these laws will apply to you. You've got the chance to then use the second law. The first law is inertia, nothing's moving. Second law is you can start learning skills, taking baby steps to move forward. Now, the key to how this works is it's like running a marathon. You don't have to run 26 kilometers or 26 miles straight away. You put one foot in front of the other and repeat, and then you get to the end. And then the third element is as you start to see things moving and coming out of lockdown, which hopefully is happening in your part of the world, you want to fast track to make sure you get there faster than everybody else, with a roadmap, with an idea, because right now there's digitization that's happening across the board. It should be happening in many businesses, but most businesses don't realize this is what they need to be doing. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you really enjoyed it, then make sure you watch one of these two videos afterwards. And Ernesto, why are you staring at the top of my head?
Dave, your hair is actually thinning out.
Well, if it is, it's about the only thing getting thin on this show.
Here on this side, we have some more amazing videos for you to watch.